You didn't land on this video by mistake. Something deeper within you brought you here. Maybe you're smiling on the outside, but inside you're carrying a quiet ache, going through the motions, acting like everything's okay, even when it's not. But your body knows. Your soul feels it. Suddenly, peace feels foreign, silence is loud, and the world stops making sense. What most people don't realize is this unease isn't a breakdown, it's the beginning of an awakening. It's not weakness, it's not being dramatic, it's a quiet invitation, a call from within. It doesn't speak in words, but shows up as exhaustion without cause, anger without reason, or a hollow feeling that success can't touch. And here's the thing, this isn't just psychological, it's vibrational, it's spiritual. According to the ancient teaching of Thoth, everything you feel, every pain, every blockage, is directly tied to a disconnection between who you really are and who you learn to be to survive. That's why nothing external fixes it. Because the true secret to healing isn't out there, it's inside. And there's an ancient practice that can realign body, mind, and spirit in a simple and profound way. It's not a pretty theory, it's a process, and it starts now. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover won't just change the way you see your pain, it'll change the way you exist in the world. The simple practice that Thoth taught is about to be revealed. The body is the shadow of the soul. Heal the soul, and the body will follow. Music. This is the moment when the soul whispers an ancient secret for the first time. But before the whisper is heard comes the breakdown, a raw, intimate, torn moment. The scene is silent, but inside, everything roars. You look in the mirror, and you don't just see a face. You see the exhaustion that's piled up on your shoulders. You see the weight of the days you pretended to carry. You see the gap between who you appear to be and who you really are. And suddenly, without warning, without control, something breaks. It's not the mirror, it's what it reveals. And this is where the most painful moment becomes the most revealing. Because in the middle of emotional chaos, a lucidity arises, a clarity that doesn't come from the mind, but from somewhere deeper. For the first time you realize you have a choice, and that realization is brutal because it carries responsibility. You can keep pretending, you can wipe the tears, pull yourself together, and stick to the script. Or you can face this breakdown as a calling, a portal, a rite of passage. Most people hesitate because change is scary, because the familiar, no matter how painful, is comfortable. But a part of you knows that if you ignore this moment, it will come back. Maybe in another form, maybe stronger. The cycle doesn't break on its own, and no one's going to break it for you. This is the turning point. The point where you realize that staying the same is more dangerous than changing, that the suffering you know no longer serves as shelter, that something inside you is ready, even if the rest of you is still shaking. This choice doesn't require certainty. It doesn't require you to know the next step. It just requires one decision, to no longer accept what's destroying you. The soul's first yes. That whisper, it's subtle but firm. Like something inside you is saying, enough, enough pretending, hiding, hurting yourself, trying to please everyone. And in that moment, even trembling, you slightly nod your head. A gesture almost invisible, but carrying the weight of an ancestral decision. This is the soul's first yes. Not a yes to the world, but a yes to yourself. To the truth, to the beginning of a journey you don't understand yet, but that has already begun. The strange thing is that this yes doesn't bring instant relief. It brings discomfort. It brings doubts. It brings fear because it breaks the cycle you were repeating without noticing. And breaking cycles, especially the ones that numb us, is an act of quiet courage. Those destructive habits you used to call distractions now sound like prisons. The drink that helped you sleep, the food that filled the void, the show that kept the silence away, all of it starts to lose its taste because you already said yes, and that yes shakes everything. But here's a crucial point. You don't have to cross this desert alone. No one awakens in isolation. Support is part of the process, the listening of someone who sees beyond your rehearsed speech. A therapist, a group, a hand that doesn't judge you but grounds you. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's the first move of real strength, because admitting you can't do it alone anymore is a sign of honesty with your soul. It's humility in the face of your own forgotten greatness. That cry for help, even if timid, even if through tears, already starts dissolving the invisible prison. It's when you say, "I can't take it anymore," but at the same time you're saying, "I want something different." That's the crack, the opening where light begins to enter, a space where change starts to seep in, slowly but irreversibly. And here comes something most people ignore. It's not enough to want to change. You have to act. The soul already said yes, but the body, the mind, and the habits need to follow that decision. It's like aligning an entire orchestra after the conductor raises the baton. The first note has already echoed. But harmony only begins when all the instruments respond. And this yes is sacred because it's the same yes that ancient initiates would say when they were ready to cross the veil of illusion. A commitment to inner truth, even without knowing where it'll lead. The yes that Thoth knew well. The yes that opened portals, that took the initiate out of the world of shadows and put them face to face with their essence. A yes that doesn't promise comfort but guarantees truth. That yes was just the crack of a portal that Thoth used to cross. And you can too. But you need to quiet the noise because you won't find what you're looking for in the world's noise. It's in the silence. A silence that at first feels uncomfortable because when everything outside goes quiet, what's left is what's inside. And that's when you start to hear what's always been speaking, but you never had the time, courage, or attention to listen. Your body speaks. It always has. That lump in your throat, that tension in your shoulders, that stomach ache with no clear cause. These are memories. These are answers. Silent screams from what was stored away when you weren't allowed to feel. The body is the archive of the soul. It holds every repressed shock, every swallowed word, every tear that didn't fall. And here's the detail almost no one tells you. The body needs permission to trust you again. It was ignored for so long, disbelieved, forced to run on autopilot. Now it wants to know if you're really willing to listen. And the only way to prove that is by practicing silence consistently and feeling, without rushing, without trying to fix anything. Thoth used to say that within us there is the nous, the divine spark, the higher mind. But this subtle awareness doesn't shout, it whispers. It only reveals itself to those who know how to listen. And that's why pure contemplation was one of the highest practices in Hermeticism. It's not thinking about something, it's observing without judging, it's seeing with the heart, it's letting the divine within you speak without being interrupted by the conditioned mind. That silence isn't empty, it's fertile, it's full, it's the field where answers bloom. And when you enter that state of deep listening, you begin to notice different sensations, a lightness, a warmth in your chest, a clarity you weren't expecting, as if the soul was lighting a small flame in the middle of the dark. And that light isn't fantasy. The universe within and without responds. And when you quiet yourself enough to hear what's vibrating inside, something unexpected happens. You start to notice that everything around you isn't random. The world out there, the situations, the encounters, the challenges, the coincidences, they're all precise reflections of what's operating inside. It seems impossible at first, but this is where science meets the mystical, where the invisible starts to become more real than what your eyes can see. The wisdom of Thoth and the Hermetic tradition say this with brutal clarity: as above, so below, as within, so without. These words aren't some spiritual riddle. They're cosmic engineering. They're the source code of reality. The universe isn't out there, separate from you. You are a conscious fragment of it, an exact reflection of the forces that move the whole. Your internal field, the vibration of your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, acts like a transmitter. It sends out a signal, and the universe responds at the same frequency. Have you ever noticed how some people keep living the same stories over and over? They change cities, jobs, relationships, but the pattern stays the same. The same kind of pain shows up with a different mask. That doesn't happen by bad luck or coincidence. The reality that manifests is an echo, a reflection of what's active inside each person's vibrational field. And the most amazing thing? That reflection isn't punishment. It's teaching. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to show you something. It's like life is constantly showing you on the outside what you still haven't been able to see on the inside. The abusive relationship, the controlling boss, the existential void, the anxiety that paralyzes you. None of that is coming from the outside to punish you. It's coming from within to wake you up, because what you vibrate, even unconsciously, is what you attract. And this is the most uncomfortable part of the journey. Admitting that the pain life reflects is often the pain you're holding, repressing, or denying. And here comes a detail almost nobody wants to hear. It's no use memorizing positive affirmations, making vision boards, or repeating power phrases if deep down you're still vibrating scarcity, rejection, or unworthiness. The universe doesn't respond to what your mind wants. It responds to what you are, with your deepest vibration, what you believe deep inside, even if no one else sees it. That invisible field is what shapes everything that becomes visible. That's why coherence is more powerful than intention. You can wish for peace, but if you're vibrating anger, guess what's coming back? You can wish for love, but if deep down you feel unworthy, you'll attract exactly what confirms that unworthiness. Life doesn't mess up. It responds with mathematical precision to what you're putting out, even when you're not aware of it. And that's not punishment, it's a power key. Because if everything outside you is a reflection of what's inside, then by transforming your inner world, you transform the universe around you without forcing, without controlling, without needing to convince anyone. Real change doesn't make noise. It radiates. It spreads like a new frequency that touches everything around it. And people notice. Situations shift. Opportunities appear. Not because you're chasing something, but because you've become something. And once you understand that the universe responds to your deepest vibration, the inevitable question comes: how do you change that vibration in a real, practical, accessible way? Because knowing isn't enough. Knowledge has to be lived in the body, felt on the skin, breathed into your daily routine. Theory opens the door, but practice is what walks through it. And the detail that changes everything is right here. Presence. This small word holds ancient power. The ancients knew only in the now does the veil of illusion dissolve. And to step into the now, you don't need an expensive retreat, an isolated temple, or complex rituals. You only need 3 things you already have with you all the time: your body, your breath, and silence. Start like this. Sit down. Could be on your bed, the floor, a chair. Close your eyes. Feel the points of contact between your body and the surface supporting you. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. Notice the breath coming in through your nose, expanding your belly, softly flowing out. This is the beginning of vibrational reprogramming, because in this moment you step out of the frequency of distraction and into the field of awareness. Now bring your attention to the body. Is there tension? Any discomfort? Let movement rise intuitively. Stretch your arms if you want. Roll your shoulders. Move your neck slowly. This isn't exercise, it's presence. It's a dialogue with what you're feeling without needing to put it into words. It's your body telling you where it hurts, where it's been ignored, where an unresolved emotion still pulses. When you listen to the body with kindness, it gives you clarity in return. The tension eases, thoughts slow down, the mind stops yelling. And here's something Hermes Trismegistus already taught in the Corpus Hermeticum. Awakening doesn't happen in a mystical leap, but in the conscious repetition of the simple. He talked about the nous, the higher mind, the divine spark, and how it reveals itself when the noise of the lower mind is silenced. This mind isn't accessed through effort. It shows up when chaos settles, and the secret lies in consistency. Small, daily rituals that clear the field and tune the frequency. Think of it like tuning a radio station. If you're living in mental noise, the frequency you pick up is static, fear, doubt, anxiety. But if every day you set aside 5-10 minutes to enter this quiet field, breathing, feeling, moving consciously, your antenna shifts. You start to pick up something different. A peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, an intuition that guides without needing to explain. And the most fascinating part is that this kind of practice doesn't require blind faith. It's measurable. You feel the difference in your body, in the quality of your sleep, in the way you respond to conflict, in the kind of thoughts that arise spontaneously. The practice doesn't change the world outside you. It changes you, the one who responds to the world. And that changes everything. But the most curious part was still to come, because when someone truly put this into practice, something unexpected happened, transformation from the shadow. And what happened was so subtle yet so deep that it couldn't be explained in words. The person who simply breathed, felt, and sat in silence began to notice something coming from within, something ancient but never truly heard. It was like a very young voice, long forgotten, finally whispering with courage, "Hey, I'm still here." That voice wasn't metaphorical. It was real. It was your inner child, but not that cute image that shows up in therapy sessions or motivational quotes. It was the most vulnerable, most sensitive, most wounded version of yourself. The part that wasn't heard, that was rejected, that learned to stay silent just to survive. The child who grew up believing they had to adapt, to please, or to disappear to be accepted. And that child is still there, every day, silently influencing your decisions, your fears, your reactions, the way you love, and most of all, the way you sabotage yourself. When that child isn't embraced, they end up steering your life in the dark, like someone desperate for affection but who only learned how to protect themselves by attacking, running, or shutting down. That's how emotional saboteurs are born, those automatic thoughts that say, "You're not enough, no one will ever truly love you, you're going to fail again." They're not truths. They're echoes of that wounded childhood, and this is where alchemy comes in. Because turning lead into gold was never about metals. It was about emotions, about pain, about shadow. The true alchemist faces what others run from. They walk into their own darkness with a lantern in hand. And that lantern is conscious love. Because only love, seen with clarity, can heal what fear tried to hide. Want an exercise? Close your eyes. Visualize the youngest version of yourself in a moment when you felt abandoned, ignored, or hurt. See what that child is wearing, where they are, what they're feeling. Now approach them with the eyes of someone who finally understands, and say, "I see you. I'm here now, and I will never leave you alone again." Do this with presence, not like a mechanical ritual, and watch what happens. There might be tears, there might be anger, there might be silence. That's okay, that's the lead coming out. And when that lead is released, something inside you begins to shine. And when you do this, something happens that changes the way you relate to everything, even to silence. And when you begin to embrace that wounded child, when the pain starts to dissolve and your breathing becomes lighter, something unexpected can happen. The silence you had been searching for suddenly starts to scare you. It's strange, but deeply real. After a lifetime of running from chaos, you finally feel peace. And it's as if that calm is dangerous, because it's unfamiliar, because the body, so used to tension, finds rest strange, because the mind, trained to survive, doesn't know what to do with tranquility. This is the point where many people turn back, not out of weakness, but because their entire system was trained to function in noise. The absence of pain feels like the absence of identity. You don't know who you are without suffering, and so silence becomes a threat instead of a refuge. A space where old ghosts take the chance to whisper, "This won't last. You don't deserve this. It's going to fall apart again." But those are just memories projecting themselves into the present. And when you recognize that, something shifts. True peace isn't a place without noise. It's the state of not being shaken by it. But to get there, you have to move through that layer where fear tries to convince you that feeling good is dangerous. And this is when connecting to something greater becomes vital. Because alone, the ego goes into conflict. It wants to control, to understand, to justify. But there is something that doesn't need to be understood to be real. Something that can only be felt. And once accessed, it grounds you. Call it spirituality, source, unified field, God, all that is. It doesn't matter what name you give it. What matters is that this force is available right now, not as a concept, but as presence. And you can access it, not through dogma, but with simple intention. Place your hand on your chest. Feel the air entering. Allow yourself to say, in silence, "I trust." Not like someone who has all the answers, but like someone who's willing to stay even when there's no control. That's the leap of trust. That's the beginning of true surrender. And if fear shows up, welcome it too. Say to it, "I understand, but now I'm choosing something new." Use your breath as an anchor. Inhale, counting to 4. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale, counting to 6. Do this until your body understands that it's safe, until your soul remembers that chaos is no longer the only possible home, that there's a new space within you, and it's called presence. In that moment, the final rehearsal begins for the secret Thoth guarded for millennia. The secret truly revealed. And when you start to notice that silence full of presence, when the fear of peace dissolves like fog under the sun of awareness, that's when the real secret begins to unfold. Because what once seemed like just intuition reveals itself as the entire map. Not an external map full of routes and shortcuts, but an internal vibrational map that already knows all the paths, even before you ask. This silent. Knowing doesn't come from the common mind. It doesn't argue, shout, or debate. It simply vibrates points, and every time you ignore it, you feel discomfort. Not because it punishes you, but because going against your nous, your inner spark, is like swimming against the current of your own destiny, and that wears you down, that fragments you, that pulls you off course. Intuition is the pure frequency of your alignment with Source. It's the part of you that never got lost, that always knew the way, but that got buried under the world's noise, under voices saying, "You need to be something else to be loved. You need to prove yourself to have worth." And the more you believed that, the more disconnected you became from this silent compass. Thoth, through Hermetic principles, left this encoded in symbolic language. The awakening of the nous is not a miracle reserved for initiates. It's a natural right of anyone who aligns mind, emotion, and action into one flow. And that's when real magic happens. Not when you wish for something, but when you live in coherence with who you are. It's no longer about what you want to attract, but about who you're becoming with every choice. This is Thoth's hidden secret. It's not in a mystical formula, but in the subtle field of ongoing vibrational practice. The nous, according to the Corpus Hermeticum, is the divine mind within us. Not the fragmented mind that clings to fear, but the silent intelligence that arises from the present being. When you breathe with awareness, when you act with clarity, when you relate without betraying your truth, the nous awakens. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It simply takes the wheel. And it's in that moment that what once seemed impossible begins to flow. Answers appear effortlessly. Heavy decisions become simple. Chaotic situations reveal purpose. Not because the world outside changed, but because you're finally emitting a frequency the universe understands. A frequency without noise, without masks, without inner contradictions. That's real alignment. It's when what you feel, what you believe, and what you do walk side by side. No sabotage, no guilt, no forced effort. Now, pause and feel. There's something in you right now that already knows what to do, already knows the next step, already knows the path. But maybe you're still waiting for permission, a sign or a guarantee. And that's exactly where many get lost, waiting for safety, where only courage exists. Because living from intuition means walking in the invisible, trusting that the ground will appear under your feet as you move forward. It's trusting yourself when everything outside still says no. Want to live this secret right now? Then start today. Set aside 10 minutes. Go silent. Breathe. Write down what your intuition whispers. Feel what's out of alignment in your life and take a step, just one step, but make it in the direction of your truth. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. What exists is your vibrational field saying yes or no to every micro-choice. And each micro-choice is building your reality. The revealed secret isn't an ending. It's not a trophy. It's the beginning. The turning point where you stop looking outside for what's always been inside, where you stop trying to control life and start dancing with it, where the sacred stops being a concept and becomes breath, presence, aligned action. But what happens when you live this? This is not the end. It's the true beginning. And it's in that true beginning that you start to see that everything you used to call healing isn't a place you arrive at, but a journey you live. There is no final point, no spiritual certification. What exists is continuous presence, because human beings are made of cycles, of layers, of spirals, and what seemed resolved today may resurface in another form tomorrow, not as a setback, but as an invitation to deepen your presence, your compassion, your rootedness. That's the beauty of Hermetic truth. Everything flows, everything transforms, nothing is fixed. You are not a finished version of yourself. You are a temple under constant construction, and every gesture, every thought, every choice is like a sacred stone being placed with intention. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. It's not about becoming someone better, but about remembering who you never stopped being. And in that daily movement, something even more powerful happens when you begin to serve. When instead of only chasing your own healing, you offer what you've already learned to ease someone else's pain, not as a savior but as a channel. Because by helping someone, you remember your own journey. You activate in practice the greatest mystery of spiritual alchemy, shared healing. True generosity doesn't come from guilt or obligation. It comes from overflow. And when you offer a welcoming gaze, a sincere word, real listening, you not only transform someone else's life, you also give new meaning to your own pain. It's as if old wounds stop being signs of failure and become portals of wisdom. You realize that everything had a purpose, that nothing was by chance, and that now you can use your story to light someone else's path. This is the essence of Thoth's teaching. The microcosm aligning with the macrocosm, the human becoming a bridge, the mind uniting with the spirit. When you live in vibrational coherence, in loving presence, and in conscious service, your body is no longer just flesh. Your mind is no longer just thoughts. Your life is no longer just routine. You become a temple, a living temple, a transmitter of vibrational wisdom, a walking reminder that it's possible to transcend without escaping reality. If you've made it this far, it's not a coincidence. Drop a comment. I heard the call. That way, we'll know you're part of this group of seekers who are ready to remember who they really are. If this message truly spoke to your heart and you'd like to help more souls find it, there's a support link pinned in the first comment. Your generosity doesn't just help this channel, it helps spread light, healing, and awakening to those who need it most. And before you go, take a deep breath. Right here on the screen is a video I chose just for you. It's the next step in this journey. Click it, and I'll be right there, waiting to continue with you.